Hello everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today is a blog hop collaboration between Heffy Doodle and the Greeting Farm, so I'm going to have my blog linked down below so that you can hop along for a chance to win some prizes. And we'll talk about it as we go along, but let's talk about the products we're using. This is the Greeting Farm Donut Worry stamp set and it is so cute. And then I'm going to pair it up with our Heffy Doodle Flying High stamps and dies. And you might be looking at those going, how do those go together? But I had an idea, so I had to go with it. So we've got that stamp set. We also have the Heffy Doodle Stitched Slimline Trio dies. We're going to use that second largest one. Then we have the Heffy Doodle Slimline Scenery dies because we are building a scene. And then I also have the Heffy Doodle Alcohol Marker Friendly Cardstock. So I went ahead to save some time, stamped out all of my images using some Memento TUXEDO black ink on my alcohol friendly cardstock. And these are all the images I'm going to use on this card. If you head to my blog, you'll see a bonus card that I made using these images as well. So you'll be extra inspired, hopefully. So I'm putting all the colors up on the screen for you so that you can see what I'm using, and I tend to go lightest to darkest, so I used my E50 first, then our E84 and our E87. If you've never been here before, I usually like to color my cats like mine, which are Siamese. So we've got this little guy, and then I like to work backwards with my color. So as I said, this is a collaboration between the Greeting Farm and Heffy Doodle stamps, and I love doing that because it really does sometimes give you this opportunity to look at your stamps in a different light just to see how they may go together. And some companies seem to like really mesh really well, and sometimes you got to get, your creative hat going and see what you can do. I didn't have any problem whatsoever combining these two, but this one is going to be kind of, I don't want to say far-fetched, but I love the idea of it, and you'll see as we go along. You're thinking planes and donuts, how's that going to work? But you'll see. Hang in there. All right, so we're going to color our donuts now, and I did have a color palette in mind, and I wanted nice and bright colors, but obviously our donuts are going to be like some chocolate ones, and then I do come in with some pinks for all of the frosting. Like I said, I wanted bright for everything else. So we've got our frosting on all of our donuts is going to be bright. We'll start with that RV14. And I'm just going to start putting all that down first on all the images that I want. Typically, the way Copics work, or alcohol markers, is that they stay a little bit wet for a little bit of time. And then if they dry too much, it is a little bit harder to blend on them. But, and I do have this sped up double time, but I didn't have any issue with blending. Now I'm bringing in some RV17, and when I started, I thought that this was just going to be my darkest color for the pink. And as you can see, it does look nice. It looks pretty good. So I'm blending that out, and I like it. But as I'm going, I'm also thinking, maybe I want to bring in something a little bit more dramatic because this works, and I oftentimes like to just do 2 color blends, but sometimes an image might call for 3 colors. So after I blend these out, I come in with something much more dramatic. We've got the RV69, and yes, it is extremely dramatic. And I love it. I think it works so beautifully with this color combination. And I'm not one of those that will write down my color combos. I'm often just kind of going with the flow, but I feel like I should have written this one down. So putting that nice dramatic RV69 down where I think it looks good, and then I'm going to blend that out. Later on, I do come in and do another set of donuts, and you'll see why. But now let's move on to our other colors, our other bright colors. I'm going to color these planes and helicopters using these bright colors. So I've got that BG45, we've got our BG49, and then I'll come back in and blend that out with the BG45. And yes, that is nice and dramatic. I love that. I think that's good. So for these planes and helicopters, I'm just using 2 color blends, but you could absolutely, come in for a 3rd color blend if you wanted as well. Then I've got some FV2, which is a fluorescent color. I thought this would look good with that V09. And it does. It's a little bit different, but it works pretty well for that drama that I was kind of going for. And then I'll blend that out again with that FV2. Just a little, keeps that drama, but does blend, soften those edges really is what I'm going for. And then for our last little plane, we're going to bring in some YG03. This one it wasn't as dramatic. I don't know why, but YG03. And as you can see, all those super bright colors, we've got that pink and lime green and turquoise and purple. And it's just fun. I think this is very visually appealing right now, especially for little images like this. And once you see how I put it together, you're going to see what I'm talking about. All right, then we're going to move on to our clouds. And for the clouds, we're using some BG10. And I'm kind of using a circling type motion for those because I would assume that, you know, clouds are going to be kind of puffy and pillowy a little bit. So again, bringing in that second color, which is the BG72, and you know, using some circling motions, and I really like how that looks. And then for our metal bits on our planes and our helicopters, I'm bringing in some blue violets. So I've got the BV20, and then I'll bring in the BV23. So it still looks sort of gray, but it does bring in that purpley hue, which I really like. And so we'll finish all that off. And I'm not going to color the banner because the banner has a different purpose. But our sun is that Y15, and then I bring in the Y38, and then I will blend that out. Notice I don't go all the way to the edge on the circle. That gives it the illusion that it is definitely rounded, and maybe not a flattened piece. And now that all those are colored, we're going to bring in our matching dies, which I do have for the Flying High stamps, and I'll run that through my Heffy Doodle mini die cutting machine. And I did fussy cut out my little greeting farm donut worry images. So there you see that I did color and cut out another set of donuts. I'm going to have these sitting on top of each other. So to do so, I'm going to take away that white line on the bottom of the top donut. So as you can see, I kind of cut that away to make it look like it is definitely a continuous stamp, but it still has that white border around the other edges. And then I'll just glue those top donuts down to our bottom donuts. And it does. It looks like one continuous stamp, which is what I was going for. And then here's where I'm kind of thinking I want to stick that on top of that banner. So I'm going to place that over the top of the banner and see how that's going to set. And I will have to cut off the bottom of that banner. And I will stamp out another one of these for the box of donuts. That's right. If you've guessed it by now, or if you haven't seen the image or the final product, I'm going to have those planes bringing in those donuts. I just thought this was fun. The next step would be to work on my panel. So I'm bringing in that second largest stitched Slimline trio die, and I've cut that out. And now I'm bringing in the scenery dies. I'm going to cut out the grass, and then I'm going to progressively go up using the clouds on the rectangle that I just cut out. So it's going to give stitching all the way around all those edges. But to make those kind of look like they're going to pop, I'm bringing in a Simon Hurley Create ink. This is the mint color, and I'm going to blend that all around all of those edges. And then these are going to fit back together like a puzzle, but it's going to leave a little less bulk on there by doing it this way. Now I'm going to piece those back together like a puzzle, like I said, and then just on the back, I'm going to grab some mint tape, and I'm going to just tape those together on both sides. And that way I can work with this panel. And you won't see that because it's just on the back, so that's why I'm not worried about it. I'm going to stick it inside of my Misty, and I'm going to ink up the words Donut Worry Be Happy from our Donut Worry stamp set using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm stamping that over that cut edge, so I want to make sure that that is nice and crisp there. So I do ink it up a couple of times and just making sure that that is nice and stamped over there, so you can read it just fine. And then the last thing I want to do while this is in the Misty is I'm going to make this plane look like it's dumping sprinkles. So I've got my sprinkle stamp from the Donut Worry stamp set, and I'm going to ink that up with Memento TUXEDO black ink because that is Copic friendly, and I do want to color those with those colors that I've already used. So I'm just coloring right on that panel, just picking those colors, and then as you can see, that's kind of how it's going to be laid out. But I'm going to get my base ready, which was measured 7 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 3.5 inches. For that grass that I cut out earlier, I'm going to ink this up using some Later Gator ink by Simon Hurley Create, blending that over that whole edge. And it's not a perfect blend, but I kind of like it that way. And then I'm going to cut it in half, and we're going to use this on the inside of our card Don't go all the way to the center because otherwise you'll have a hard time closing your card. As you can see, there's a tiny bit of white right in between the two bits of grass that I've put down, and now I'm cutting off the excess. I'm going to use liquid glue to adhere down the rest of my pieces on the inside. I love doing this. It makes this whole scene on the inside of the card and draws, you know, the outside to the inside, which is so fun. And we've already got our little kitty down at the bottom holding his donut. And now I'll glue down my panel. You could use foam tape here, but I'm just going to glue it down. And it's going to leave a nice white border all the way around the edge. I wanted that for a little bit of drama. And then now I can start putting some foam tape on the back of my planes. I want those popped up. But I'm not going to pop up my donuts. Those are just going to be flush to the paper. So I'll pop down my helicopter and glue down these donuts. He's bringing them in. And then this one as well, a box of donuts. That would be fun. Can you imagine how big these would be? If you've got these tiny little planes bringing in gigantic donuts. I love it. It's so fun. And then now that I've done that, I've got to stamp a sentiment on the inside. This one does come from the Heffy Doodle Flying High. So the sky's the limit. Donut worry, be happy. Like I said, this is a part of a blog hop, so be sure to hit my blog, which is down below in my description box. And then you can see the bonus card that I made as well. So thank you for hopping along with me. If you like this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.